Oh, hi there. Media can become lost in a lot of different ways, and sometimes it's as easy as someone just saying no. Whether this is censorship boards, entire governments, or just over public backlash, these are a few cases of banned, lost media. Starting with the found footage horror movie, The Lost Tour, Vietnam. The Lost Tour Vietnam is a Vietnamese horror film directed by renowned Vietnamese filmmaker Le Van Kiet, who's best known in his country for directing the movie House in the Alley, and best known internationally for directing 2022's The Princess. But he's known to me as the LeBron James of getting his movies banned. Okay, he only has 2 banned movies, but what other director do you know that even has 1 banned film? Not a movie that had a few scenes cut, but the censors just said no to all of it. These 2 films are 2012's Bay Cap 3 and 2014's The Lost Tour, Vietnam. Bay Cap 3, translating to Level 3 Trap, or more accurately, High School Trap, is a horror movie about high school couple Mi and Hong, who ditch their school field trip to hang out by themselves, but their friends Chan and Trang find out and come along too, along with an unexpected third party, the school's weird kid, Chiot. Things start off great, but quickly fall apart as members of the group disappear and are found dead, leading to a fight for survival. The movie cost an estimated 7 billion Vietnamese dollars, which sounds like a lot, and it kinda is, but it's only $250,000 in US dollars. Life-changing money for you and me, but a crazy small amount for a movie. It was scheduled to premiere on May 18th, 2012, but banned from release for its violent and sexual content, mainly due to the narrative centering around high school kids. Vietnam has strict censorship laws, banning Western movies like The Hunger Games that same year. Director Le Van Kiet didn't let this keep him down, and in 2014 finished 2 feature films, but only one of those would get released. The other was the banned film The Lost Tour, Vietnam, and just like Bay Cap 3, was cut by the censors. Meant to be released in the Halloween season of 2014, The Lost Tour, Vietnam is about 2 American friends, one from a family of Vietnamese immigrants, traveling to Vietnam. They decide to avoid the classic tourist destinations, instead exploring rural areas, seeking a more authentic experience. One of their excursions takes them to a dense forest in the midst of a zombie outbreak. It's kind of funny to me. When I first heard there was a horror movie with the words Vietnam and tour in the title, I assumed it was some kind of horror movie based in the Vietnam War. The movie was shot in a found footage style on a handheld camera, making it one of the first of its kind in Vietnam, and maybe even the country's first zombie film. And even if it's not the first of either, the combination of zombies and found footage was a unique approach to modern horror that was completely fresh to Vietnamese cinema. The critics seem to agree. Screen Anarchy and Hand 14 gave the film positive reviews after receiving preview copies. But soon after, the Film Censorship Council of Vietnam rejected the film, calling it excessively grim and in violation of the country's traditional moral values and customs. Since being rejected by the film board, neither of these movies have been seen by the public, and this is somewhat strange. Suppressed films like this in the modern era usually get leaked in some way. When someone puts this much effort into a project, they want the world to see it. But for whatever reason, Bay Cap 3 and The Lost Tour, Vietnam are still completely lost outside of their trailers that were released prior to them being banned, that you can still find online today. It's believed that the movies are in the possession of the filmmakers and the companies that produce them, though no one has ever commented on their status, or whether or not they're still fighting the censors. And strangely, there are a lot of behind-the-scenes videos on YouTube of Bay Cap 3 in development. Usually in lost media, we don't see this much footage of a movie being made, which makes me a little suspicious that there is a copy of Bay Cap 3 floating around somewhere, maybe just on a Vietnamese site that I can't quite decipher. Let me know in the comments if you come across it. Birth control. Birth Control was a controversial, semi-autobiographical documentary written, produced, and starring Margaret Sanger about her career as a nurse and subsequent involvement in the early era of family planning in the United States, and is believed to be the first film produced by a woman to be banned in the United States. Margaret Sanger has a pretty wild story. She was one of 11 children to a mother who also suffered 7 miscarriages and eventually died of tuberculosis. Margaret blamed her father for forcing her mother into constant pregnancy and considered him responsible for her death. After becoming a nurse in New York City, she worked to inform working-class women on contraceptives. And back then, simply accessing information on contraceptives was deemed obscene by the Comstock Act of 1873. As a nurse, Margaret heard constant horror stories of sketchy abortions and took to task the government's anti-contraceptive and strict anti-obscenity laws that resulted in the deaths of so many women. She began writing and disseminating her monthly newsletter, The Woman Rebel, coining the term birth control and deemed the discussion of it free speech. She would go on to create the country's first birth control clinic in Brownsville, Brooklyn. Margaret Sanger and her sister Ethel Bryan were arrested for selling contraceptives, officials calling it a public nuisance. But this didn't stop them. They would soon after found the American Birth Control League, known today as the Planned Parenthood Federation of America. Sanger would live just long enough to see the altering of the Comstock Act in the 1966 case Griswold v. Connecticut that deemed the use of contraceptives legal. But way back at the beginning of her career as an activist, in 1917, she produced a movie about her cause. Part documentary, part fiction, Birth Control was written by Sanger and fellow co-founder of the Birth Control Review, Frederick A. Blossom. Sanger starred as a dramatized version of herself in the fight for birth control access. Filming was completed by April. Expecting resistance, the movie was promoted under an alternate title, The New World, depending on the location. Based on an article by Motion Picture News, the film was approved by the National Board of Review, requiring no scenes to be censored. The movie saw a few private screenings, starting on April 10, 1917, at the Lyric Theater on Broadway, where Sanger made a public appearance to talk about the movie and spread awareness of contraceptives. Their advertising campaign proved extremely successful. On the night of its public debut at the Park Theater in Manhattan, thousands were lined up outside to see the movie. But before anyone could get in, the city's license commissioner, George Bell, banned 1917's Birth Control from being released. The Brooklyn branch of the Motion Picture Exhibitors League unanimously voted to ban the film, saying that a movie about birth control is not classified as theatrical entertainment, citing the 1915 Mutual Film Corporation versus Industry Commission of Ohio that ruled movies did not count as free speech because they were business and not art. Sanger appealed the ban, but it was denied. This court case was overturned in 1952, making the film Birth Control legal, but by this time, it was already considered lost. To this day, only a few stills of the movie exist as part of the Sophia Smith collection and in an advertisement for the Birth Control Review. McDonald's lost racist commercial. In August of 2004, McDonald's began airing commercials introducing their Defend Your Chicken campaign, promoting the permanent inclusion of chicken selects to their menu. In the commercials, people got defensive over their chicken selects, defending them from anyone who got too close. And one commercial stuck out from the rest, called You Better Don't, remembered for its stereotypical use of African American vernacular English. The commercial takes place on a plane, as a flight attendant is going around collecting trash. The attendant approaches a black woman, and thinking they're done eating their food, go to throw it away, when the black woman responds, "You better don't." The commercial is often referenced in discussions of racist marketing, but has never been tracked down, despite the other commercials from the campaign being available. But the entire narrative of this commercial was thrown into question on November 26, 2024, when the YouTube channel Rebecca Shell uploaded the commercial that did not contain the controversial line. This threw everything for a loop. The commercial was exactly as everyone said, but without the controversy. So was this just another case of the Mandela effect? Well, upon examination, probably not. There seems to be enough evidence that the commercial did exist at some point, based on numerous old-school forum posts from 2004, leading to the conclusion that the commercial probably did exist at one point, with the line included. It seems that Rachel Shell's upload is an edited re-airing of the commercial, implying that the original version received enough complaints that it was banned. And to this day, we are still looking for the unedited version of You Better Don't. £1,000 Reward. £1,000 Reward was a 1913 British film directed and starring Harold Heath about a group of criminals escaping from Portland Prison and joining a counterfeit coin ring. The Portland Prison was a real-life prison on the Isle of Portland, famous for being difficult to escape from and infamous for its grueling conditions, forcing prisoners to work in the island's quarry. The movie was made to capitalize on the prison's notoriety, but there's no detail of the plot. From the bits and pieces we do know from articles, the movie's poster, and a summary from the British film catalog, we can assume that Harold Heath played the main character who escapes from the prison, or the movie's main detective who's looking for him. It probably establishes that inmates work long, grueling hours in the quarry, making them desperate to escape. We know that prisoners take advantage of a yacht visiting the island, using it to make a break to the mainland. The escapees meet and are then housed by Countess Zula and join a counterfeit money-making gang. The convicts are in hot pursuit by a detective, and somehow a flower girl is involved. The movie climaxes with a boat chase, leading one of the boats to explode, ending with a rooftop fistfight where the detective is the victor, claiming his £1,000 reward. The movie has become famous and notable for a few things. It's believed that Heath is one of the first, if not the first ever, individual to produce, direct, and star in his own movie, and is one of the first ever films to be banned in the UK under the British Board of Film Classification, at the time called the British Board of Film Censors. The movie was screened across the UK, but prior to it being widely released, the commissioner of the Portland prison filed a complaint to the British Board of Film Censors, who reviewed the movie. The censors' biggest concern was the plot might promote other prisoners to escape, and that the movie might promote tourism to the prison's work quarry, making it very difficult to secure the location. They demanded that 1,200 feet of film needed to be censored, of its estimated 4,000 feet. Yeah, they used to measure the movie and how long the film reel was. Scenes included prisoners bribing wardens, the prisoners swimming to freedom, and all references to the Portland prison. These changes completely ruined the movie, making it unwatchable. While the British Board had censored other movies at the time, this was the first British film to be effectively banned. This was all part of a larger moral panic that movies were contributing to the delinquency of kids. Today, only stills remain of £1,000 reward.
Is this the Nazi piece?
This is the Nazi. Wait, it's not a Nazi piece. Please.
The Daily Show. The Daily Show is a late-night satirical news and talk show on Comedy Central, running since 1996. The show started with Craig Kilborn as host for a couple of years, but became iconic when it was taken over by Jon Stewart, before being continued by Trevor Noah in 2015, and currently by various hosts, including Stewart, since 2022. The show has never been afraid to cover controversial subjects, sometimes with little to no tact. But in their 27-year run, there is only one single segment that is known to have been banned from air. In 2008, during a panel at the Paley Center for Media, former Daily Show correspondent and current late-night host Stephen Colbert talked about this unreleased segment. It was filmed at the historical Leisure World Retirement Center in Seal Beach, California, and was about the retirement community trying to become their own incorporated town. This led residents in the area to worry about being incorporated into this Leisure World town. But the issues came when Colbert made parallels to the Nazis. That Leisure World was seeking glory for the grandfather land. The segment included obvious jabs, like edited clips of retirees walking set to Wagner to make it look like they were marching, and of course the community leader had to be a stand-in for Hitler. Colbert even tricked him into doing the salute on camera. A retired lawyer at the community found out about the segment and sued Comedy Central, saying the crew told everyone they were working for CNN when filming. The Daily Show denied lying, but admitted they were not forthcoming with their connections to Comedy Central. They would eventually reach an out-of-court settlement, agreeing that the segment would never air. To this day, it still hasn't, and at this point, likely never will. On a night like this, Kylie Minogue is among Australia's biggest pop stars and is the best-selling female musician in the country's history. She's been releasing music consistently since the 80s, but it seems that every decade or so she comes around with a new anthem that rocks the world and gets stuck in everyone's head for months. Like, I can't believe that the same person who made Can't Get You Out of My Head in the 2000s did Padum in the 2020s. Minogue began her career playing up her innocent image, before shifting to a more provocative style as she got older. This really peaked in the 2000s, culminating with the music video for her song On a Night Like This off her 2000 album, Light Years. In the video for On a Night Like This, Minogue plays a bored housewife, trying to get the attention of her significantly older husband. The standard version of this video garnered some controversy over Minogue's see-through dress, but according to an NME review of the song, there's a director's cut of the video that was banned due to scenes with Minogue fully nude. Minogue would confirm that this video does exist, but has never provided any more details. It's believed that she did not approve of the video and did not want it to be released, or that in the year 2000, it would essentially be impossible to release this kind of video in any format. Some fans and members of the press have claimed to have seen the video, but this version is yet to surface online. Thank you so much for watching, and a shout out to everyone who supports me on Patreon, including Miss Dana, Michael Blount, Matthew Lager, Can You Say Rocote Mafleur, Vinny Cataldo, and our newest member, Simon Zen. Thank you all so much. This is Mike with All Things Lost. I'll see you soon.